with the scent of potpourri, films we commit to memory. Crossing the felt ropes, watching from home on my TV, looking at all my eyes can see. They tell me I view obsessively.
Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at obsessiveviewer.com, and while every episode will always be free, if you'd like to support what we do here, you can become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for tons of bonus audio content, including TV and book reviews, immediate reaction movie reviews, Patreon potpourri episodes, movie commentary tracks, and, did I say book reviews? Yes, I did. And, early access to episodes. Again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. And just so you know, all the money goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and to get new equipment and everything as needed. But anyway, patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. I'm your host, Matt Hurt, and you can find me on social media and on Letterboxd at obsessiveviewer. And joining me today, as always, usually, is Tiny, who can be found on Letterboxd at obsessivetiny. How's it going, Tiny?
It's going good, man. How are you?
Nice. I am doing quite well. We had a very nice, not heated discussion, but, although sort of heated because I'm using a heating pad because I'm old, and my back hurts. But we had a nice conversation about physical therapy for your shoulder, heating pad for my back, and the evils of a certain political party. Right. So it was a very nice, discussion there. So again, that's at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Yeah. So how are you doing? Did you already answer that? I think
I did. It's still good. Good.
Nice. Good. That is good to hear. Yeah. So today on this show, we're going to do a nice laid back extended potpourri episode. For first time listeners, potpourri is what we call the section of the podcast where we share thoughts on things we've watched recently. It's basically a section at the end of the podcast where we just kind of wind down and talk about what we've watched lately. And in these special extended potpourri episodes, we do a round robin review of things that we've watched recently. So it's a lot of fun to kind of use that to kind of do the release valve on things that we've watched without having it be like an official review of something. So we will be avoiding spoilers if we do have any spoilers pop up, which is rare in these kinds of episodes. But if we do, we'll put a spoiler warning and everything ahead of time. Of course, you can always navigate the timestamps in the show notes. These timestamps can be found in the show notes or at obsessiveviewer.com/OV380. So Tiny, are you ready for some extended potpourri?
I am ready, sir.
Nice. I believe you have 3 titles and I have 4?
Yes, 3.
Okay. I will get us kicked off and then we can go round robin if that's okay.
Sure. I kind of have 4.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, you go ahead.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Because I forgot about one I was going to bring up.
Nice.
I'm going to start since we were kind of talking about certain political things in Patreon. I'll stick to that energy, and I'm going to bring up a show that Paige and I watched recently that's on Amazon called The Terminal List.
Okay.
Yes. So for those who don't know, this is a Chris Pratt vehicle TV show on Amazon Prime. And it's been sort of in the news. It was kind of under the radar for the first month maybe or so that it was out. But then it kind of started generating a little buzz. So it's been most critics have kind of shot it down and taken it down, but the fan reaction, audience reaction has been pretty positive. But to kind of like bring that around, like, I mean, the show has like an 8 point something rating on IMDb.
Oh wow.
But the review that here's the title on the other end of that spectrum. Here is the title for the review of it on RogerEbert.com.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, Prime Video's The Terminal List is an alpha male cry for help, unquote.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which is a kind of a great title.
Yeah.
And as the Gen Zers would say, where's the lie?
Yeah.
It is so alpha, it's kind of gross.
Oh, wow.
But I kind of fucking loved it. Love is a strong word. I couldn't stop watching it. Like we watched the whole thing in 2 days.
Wow.
It's very, very compelling. It's the action is awesome. There's a lot of themes that are easy to latch onto for certain people. I've heard other people call it a dad show because like dads are like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
And like that's again, where's the lie? For those who don't know, it's basically here, I'll just read the synopsis from IMDb. A former Navy SEAL officer investigates why his entire platoon was ambushed during a high-stakes covert mission. So just, I'm sure you can glean from that synopsis that there is a conspiracy theory here.
Yeah.
And the conspiracy ends up being true.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's not a spoiler. Like, that's kind of obvious. And I think that's why this took off, especially with the right and just conservatives just latched onto this thing and just elevated the shit out of it because they're dying for anything that is, it's just so topical that they're dying for anything that, you know, confirms a conspiracy because that is the crux of their ideology right now.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where so much of the popularity of the show came from. And also I think the controversy, I guess, or the semi-negative reviews have kind of piqued people's curiosity. And it's been renewed for a second season.
Okay.
But I gotta say, I did enjoy the show a lot.
Okay.
Just because the action is really good, and there's actually some really surprisingly cerebral, how do I want to explain it? Sort of this like kind of unexpected psychological aspect to the show.
Okay.
The main character is going through some things in his head. I don't want to spoil it, but he's having some psychological issues, and they don't shy away from it. And they do show. I think it's silly because like he's one of those characters that, you know, he's like, if something's wrong, he's just gonna he's very stubborn and he's just gonna force his way through it. Right. Okay. He's not gonna. He's one of those guys where if he got diagnosed with cancer, he wouldn't do shit and he would just, you know, power through like, oh, I'll beat it, or he'll just die.
Pain don't hurt.
Exactly. Exactly like that. And that is pretty tired, honestly. Like, I think as a society, we need to get away from that because it's just not healthy. It's alpha male. It's toxic masculinity. It just doesn't have a place in the modern world like it used to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's useless. And the only reason why I kind of give it a pass is because this character is literally a warrior. Like he's like, do you really want your Navy SEALs to not be like that? Yeah. I mean, honestly, like these guys do the craziest warfare shit ever. You don't want them to necessarily not be alpha males.
Right.
They don't have to be toxic. And he's not. Like they show some scenes where some very touching scenes of him being a father and a husband. And he has some genuine friendship, brotherhood relationships with his, it's like they tell each other they love each other. And it's not like, no homo, buddy, but I love you. Like they're actually saying, I love you, man. Like it's not as bad as it could be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. it has some of those moments that make the alpha male toxic shit much more palatable.
Okay.
And there's just some fucking cool ass like warfare combat shit in the show that it just totally tapped into my testosterone as a dude, and I was like, this is cool. And if that's something you're into, then the show totally taps into that.
Mm-hmm.
But the conspiracy is very compelling.
Okay.
It's pretty ridiculous because it's a conspiracy.
Sure.
Conspiracy theory, but it's compelling. I mean, it's interesting to watch. I was curious what was going to happen, who's involved, who's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth a watch if you're into any of that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of the criticisms that I've read are pretty accurate and dead on, and I can't really refute them. All I can say is I just enjoyed the show.
Okay. So let me ask you this: is the entirety of the show, is it stateside, post, like all of that, or is there like flashbacks to like I'm talking specifically about like the action aspect of it? Is it all like stateside, him like fighting the conspiracy thing, or is there flashbacks to whatever the ambush is? I assume that was overseas. Yeah,
the first episode is the ambush.
Okay.
And then from there he's back stateside and he's fighting like in a fight. It's like The Fugitive or whatever, any of those 90s action movies where there's someone who's falsely accused and they're trying to clear their name and figure out what actually happened. It's that for sure. Like,
okay.
So again, that's part of the show that's kind of tired. Like that's been done.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, but they made it their own, in my opinion.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. That's the Terminal List. It has been renewed for season 2.
I'm almost positive. Yeah.
Okay. And it is on Amazon Prime. Yeah. Excuse me. That's awesome. I might have to check it out because that kind of seems like maybe not something I would really be into, but also the idea of like the action aspect seems kind of fun. So,
you might like it. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm. See, if a show involves like Navy SEALs and they're not crying or having like a tea party or something, then I'm done. That's what I want out of my Navy SEALs.
Right. I am wrong. It has not been renewed yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That is genuinely surprising.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I go with something that is likely to be renewed if they haven't already renewed it because it was a big hit on its premiere?
Please do.
So House of the Dragon premiered on HBO on Sunday, and actually right before we started recording, I watched the first episode, and it's called Heirs of the Dragon. And basically, so House of the Dragon is a spin-off of Game of Thrones. It's set 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones, where House Targaryen is ruling over the 7 kingdoms. And yeah, I don't know where it's going to go from there, but obviously a very high-profile show. It apparently broke a lot of records. I think it was like the number one like first day viewing of anything on HBO or something like that, something ridiculous. And
wow.
like it HBO Max kind of had tech difficulties because so many people were trying to stream it. Kind of a whole thing. For me, I had an interesting experience today. Because I was watching it, and because I'm me, and I'm incapable of just watching something without having it documented in some form or the other, be it Patreon, on the podcast, or in a written form, I started thinking like, God damn it, okay, I'm probably going to do an episode-by-episode review series on Patreon for this show. And like, it even got to the point where I made like the little like cover art that I use, which is just simple. Like I just throw a logo on there and everything. But So I did that, and like I sent a picture of it to you, and I said, how did I phrase it? I said, started watching the premiere of House of the Dragon, and since I'm an idiot who can't just watch things without documenting it for Patreon or podcasts, I made this decision, and I showed a picture of the cover art that I made, with all the energy of a fuck, I guess so. And it's Patreon exclusive episode reviews. Now, I watched the first episode and I enjoyed it. I honestly did enjoy it. It was kind of nice to be back in Westeros. It was nice to kind of see those familiar sights in a different context. Like the majority of it, if not the entirety of it, takes place on King's Landing. You see the Iron Throne, obviously. You see all of these things. You see dragons. It's pretty cool. Like, there's one cool scene where there is a funeral scene, and they use the dragon to light the pyre for it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's honestly pretty cool. And kind of the main crux of the story in this first episode is that Viserys Targaryen is on the Iron Throne. He has some mysterious ailment that's not healing, that he's keeping secret, and his brother, Daemon Targaryen, played by Matt Smith, is this kind of renegade, like ruthless, like guy who is not necessarily a ne'er-do-well, but like he is someone who is very much someone who is not a suitable person to be in line for the Iron Throne. And since Viserys Targaryen doesn't have any heirs, he is like the heir de facto. The de facto heir. I should say he doesn't have any male heirs. But anyway, so, and he also has a daughter named something, who has a pivotal thing in the episode. So anyway, it's interesting. It's fine. I will probably watch it, but like before we started recording, I sat down to record the review for Patreon, and I'm going to spoil it here and say I'm probably not going to do a review series on Patreon. And like I had said, like I said in the chat, I said, yeah, I got like 3 minutes into that recording and gave up. I just don't give a shit enough about Game of Thrones anymore to really commit to episode reviews of House of the Dragon. Not yet, at least. So honestly, that was scheduling. So like, it was just, I was sitting there and I was starting to record it, and I was like, it's not a case of Game of Thrones and the Game of Thrones universe being tarnished for me by the finale. I'm not going to go so far as to say that. I'm going to say that the world of Westeros, the world of Game of Thrones, ended in such a way that was such a disappointment and such an unfulfilled narrative way, that to go and see a series that takes place 200 years in the past, like it just doesn't compel me. It doesn't make me interested. Like, the Targaryens are not nearly as interesting to me as, you know, the Lannisters and Starks and the Baratheons and everything. And all of that. Like, the character stuff in Game of Thrones was incredible. Here, it's just, I get it. It's fine. But it just doesn't really hook me or anything. And I'm going to spoil Game of Thrones because I was really kind of proud of this. But I also said that this is basically what my House of the Dragon Patreon review would have amounted to if I kept going with the recording. And here's what it would have been. Actually, I could, if I still have it on the board, I'm going to do this. Okay. Yeah. Hi, Hi, Patreon. Thank you guys for supporting us on Patreon. I know you downloaded this episode hoping to hear my thoughts on the premiere of House of the Dragon, but remember how Game of Thrones spent 7 seasons building toward an epic battle between the undead and the Seven Kingdoms and built up toward a surprise as to who was the rightful heir to the throne? Then the show had that epic undead versus Seven Kingdoms battle in near pitch black, and then the series ended with a shrug. How about democracy, guys? Ending for the throne? LOL. Anyway, thanks for listening and thanks for supporting us on Patreon. So that's a very reductive and asshole-ish way to do that. But yeah, and it also completely contradicts what I said about it not really being about the ending of the series, but it just didn't. It looks really good. Some of the character stuff in House of the Dragon does have me interested, but it's not interesting enough for me to devote 30 to 40 minutes after watching it talking it out, because I'm as passive a viewer of this at this moment as I can be. And if it compels me, if it interests me after it, if it hooks me, I'm excited for that. But right now it's a show. So yeah.
Pardon the pun, but we've been burned before.
We have. Yes. It's just, yeah. Are you going to watch it at all? I know I've asked you that like 3 times over the last few months.
I'm going to. I could sit here and play around and be like, oh, I'm not even going to watch it, whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't quite as incensed by the last season as a lot of people were. It was not what should have happened, and I think they screwed up, and it should have been way better.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was awful. It really, really kind of killed my enthusiasm for the series.
Yeah.
Like I don't have any plans to rewatch it. But I'm gonna watch House of Dragon eventually. But I'm gonna wait till they all come out. I'm too spoiled anymore to just wait week to week. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah. I'd be curious to hear what you think. I'm probably still going to watch it, but yeah, I can't. I just can't.
Did you see the viral video? I think it was on like a New York City street where someone like pointed their camera up at like a maybe 12 story apartment building. And they were they weren't looking in the windows, but they could see all these windows where all of the flashes of light were timed up at the same time, because it was all these people watching House of the Dragon at the same time. And it's probably like there's like maybe 30 or 40 windows in the shot, and like half of them, maybe at least 15 of them were synced up because people were watching House of the Dragon.
That's kind of amazing.
That's kind of nuts, man.
Yeah. And to be completely honest, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that it's I mean, hey, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if it's good, I hope it's good. I don't really want anything to suck, really.
Right.
Like, I don't wish ill on anything very much,
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So anyway,
interesting.
That was a nice preview of Patreon for you guys. So yeah. That's all I have for House of the Dragon, honestly. Do you want to go with your next one?
Yeah. So Paige and I finally finished watching all of Downton Abbey.
Okay.
The show ended in 2015. And then they had a movie come out in 2018, I think, and then this year another one came out.
Yeah.
So we finally watched the last season and then the 2 movies. I can't. You never got into that show, did you? Did you watch a little bit of it?
I never watched any of it, honestly.
Never watched any. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I give the show a lot of credit. I think the idea of it is like brilliant. To kind of choose to tell the story of, the upstairs and the downstairs kind of thing set in basically when the 19th century is ending and the 20th century is beginning, and things are starting to change, and the world is evolving away from the concept of royalty and all that. Just, it's a brilliant idea, and that dynamic worked for a long time on that show. And just that dynamic is enough to keep someone like me and a lot of like history buffs or just kind of drama buffs involved in the show for a long time, because it's fascinating to see that play out. But I think by the end, by the 5th, 6th season, you kind of run out of shit, because it's like this character, you know, this character is pregnant. This character is fallen in love. This character is having legal trouble. This character is, and it's just like, you just have to come up with, you can only come up with so many things, I think.
Sure.
And so I think the way they ended the series was fine. It wasn't super memorable, and I think there was some fan service in there that they wanted to work in that didn't necessarily feel too organic.
Okay.
But for overall, I think it's a very pivotal show that I really appreciated in a lot of ways.
Nice.
Then the 2 movies were just like, man, some cool ideas to put in there, but it was just like annoying fan service.
Oh,
like,
really?
So fucking annoying. Like, kind of like a couple characters that were like, will they, won't they? Just at the end, they tacked on like, oh, they got engaged.
Oh, jeez.
It's just it was so matter of fact and lazy. And like, you know, some of these characters are like, this character is going to die off. It's been around forever. And that character was very standoffish and kind of off-putting, and a lot of people don't like her, but she made all these friends in the end and was nice to everybody at the end. And it's like, fuck, that's just
lazy. Yeah,
I just didn't care for that. It feels like they squandered a lot. I'm curious if they're going to do any more. I don't need or want any more. It's really a shame to see what it became. I mean, the first 2 or 3 seasons were top television. I mean, they're so good. And I just feel like they squandered a lot of the characters by the end and tried to keep it going for a reason that I don't understand.
Yeah.
So, and then Julian Fellows is the creator and writer of it. He has that new show now. It's on HBO. The Gilded Age.
Yeah, you actually talked about it in the last extended potpourri. I don't think I remember or didn't realize that it was the same person.
Yeah, same guy. And it's the same pretty much dynamic. It's just in America. And it's a little bit, I think that takes place in like the 1880s maybe. So it's like probably about 40 years, 30 years before Downton takes place.
Okay.
And it seems kind of tired and doesn't have the dynamic is in that context is not anywhere near as compelling. So
yeah,
I feel like Julian Fellows needs to find a new hook or just hang it up.
Right.
You know? Yeah. But I mean, I do, you know, especially if you're a history fan or a sociological fan or something like that, definitely watch the show. It's really, I still think it's a good show. I just, it fell victim to, fan service and just, I assume the production company or the studio or whatever was like, let's keep making more. It's still successful, you know?
Yeah. Ugh.
One of those deals. Yeah.
Yeah. That's rough. Yeah, that's on digital now, right? Or
I think we watched it. I can't remember anymore. I think it's on Hulu.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds right. Or HBO Max, maybe.
Could be. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably never going to bother with it at this point. I mean, it got a lot of acclaim, and I'm sure that I would probably find a way to enjoy it, but I think the time has passed for me to really...
I'm not sure you'd like it.
Oh, honestly. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not soapish, but Yeah, it's a lot about who loves who, and
Yeah.
yeah.
If it doesn't have Navy SEALs crying and having a tea party, I don't want to watch it. So
There's no Chris Pratt, so
nice. Yeah, so kind of keeping with the TV theme, I have something I want to lavish praise upon, if you would allow me.
please do.
Okay, so Nathan Fielder. He is a name that is synonymous with prestige comedy, in my opinion. He had a show on Comedy Central called Nathan For You, and it is without question one of the funniest pieces of entertainment I have ever consumed. It ran for 4 seasons. It is currently available to stream on HBO Max. It is absolute perfection. It is about him going to different small businesses and pitching the most outrageous ideas on how to improve their business model. A couple of examples are the first episode, he goes to a frozen yogurt shop and pitches a poo flavored yogurt and goes into like gets it created, has it taste tested and everything, all of this. And like throughout the run of the series, he does this character that I don't know how much of it is himself and how much of it is a character, but it has this like this social awkwardness and loneliness baked into it. Like he has like these little things where he will say like, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? And he just does it in the most like cringe comedy and awkward comedy sort of way. And it works so perfectly. And a couple other examples from Nathan For You. He did a one of my favorite ones. Oh, this is kind of crass, but his pitch to a hotel was that when parents go on vacation, they want to have sex, but if they have children, they can't have sex in the hotel room. So his pitch was to have a soundproof box for the kid to play in that would have it was shaped like a spaceship. It was completely soundproof, and he had air pumping through and everything. And then just to double down on all of that, he it's so great. He had jungle noises fed through it. And then he had a couple come in, and like the kind of underlying thing of this is the ridiculous lengths that people will go to go along with these things. And I don't know how much of it is truthful. I don't know how much of it is put up for the show, but like he had these this couple who had a child, and like they hired them for a day as actors on the show, but the thing was like they were going to be guinea pigs for this thing. So they put the kid in the box, and then Nathan Fielder he hired 2 porn actors to have very loud sex in the room. And there's this amazing moment where Nathan is watching the porn stars have sex with this married couple that he's right next to, and then at one point you hear the porn stars refer to each other in like their moment as the name of the married couple. And then Nathan just leans in and is like, I told them to call each other by your guys' name so it's more realistic for you. It's just it is insane how hilarious that show was. And all of this is preamble for me to talk about a show that he just concluded the first season on HBO Max, called The Rehearsal, which it honestly feels like it is insane to me that there was this show, Nathan For You, that was like out of this world, clever, funny, hilarious. Another example from Nathan For You is that they had he went to a movie theater, and one of the problems was that people buy one tub of popcorn and then share it with the person that they're with. So his pitch was that they institute a no sharing policy. And so he basically had like night vision cameras in each theater, or in the test theater. And then the second that someone so they see someone sharing the popcorn, he goes in with like a headlamp and tells them like, you can't share and everything. And then like he had like a whiteboard in the back that was like, since you guys shared popcorn, we have to put you on this board. And like the board is like a picture of them, and it says popcorn sharers and theater masturbators. It's like we could only afford one board. But anyway, so The Rehearsal takes sort of that same sort of concept, but applies it to life in a different way. Instead of businesses, the whole premise, and this kind of blew my mind. I will say this: if you guys don't know what The Rehearsal is, stop listening to this and watch that first episode on HBO Max, because the reveal of what the core concept of The Rehearsal is incredible. It is like Andy Kaufman-esque. It is very much like, is it Andy Kaufman? Is that the person I'm thinking of?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Very much like it is this incredible, like, personal exploration of like a human reaction to things. And it is the best way I can describe it is that the core concept of The Rehearsal is Nathan Fielder learning. It's like a person workshopping and learning how humans interact in the most crazy way imaginable. And to be completely honest, I'm going to leave it to that. I'm not going to go into detail about what the show is. I'm just going to say that the level of complexity of both the comedy and the human emotion of it is out of this world. And it is insanity to me. It is absolute insanity that Nathan Fielder has one of the greatest comedy shows I've ever seen, and in one season seems to have gotten like improved upon that. Like The Rehearsal, like Nathan For You is incredible. It is an incredible, hilarious show. It is one of my favorite comedies of all time. The Rehearsal is transcendent. It is out of this world. It's amazing. And it was renewed for a second season, and I'm so happy. So happy, because it is something, it is unlike anything I've ever seen. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So The Rehearsal, HBO Max, pretty good.
Nice. It's a hell of an endorsement.
Yeah. I was going to do a whole thing where I was like, okay, now you can skip ahead if you don't want to hear what the core concept is, but I'm like, no, I'm going to leave it for you guys to discover.
Nice.
Do you know anything about it?
No. Do you think I need to watch Nathan For You first before I watch it?
No, because they are not. Well, no. I think that my description of Nathan For You is enough detail to let you know, because it's not really like a continuation of Nathan For You. Okay. But it does like in the first episode, he references Nathan For You. Okay. But knowing the concept of Nathan For You, like, you should be fine. But I will say, definitely watch Nathan For You, because it is incredible. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Is Nathan For You streaming anywhere? Do you know? It
is on HBO Max, and it might be on like Paramount Plus too. But yeah, it is. It's incredible. And Yeah, I was trying to think just really quickly of another example from Nathan For You. He has a whole thing where he works with like a security guard who has a very unique problem in which he is obsessed with large breasts. And like it's so it's so weird. It's so weird. It's so funny. It's amazing. So yeah.
Nice.
And is it on Paramount Plus?
I just looked it up. It's on Hulu and HBO Max.
Oh, nice. And on Paramount Plus as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It's God, it is incredible. Yeah.
Nice.
I absolutely love it. Also on Paramount Plus, just quick plug, Detroiters. I really like that show.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's the rehearsal. It real good.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you have next for Extended Potpourri, Tiny?
So this will be brief.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Uncharted.
Yeah.
With good old Tommy Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it other than I just don't really know why we needed this movie. I friend of the show and kind of regular host, not for a while. Robert Fekkes had a really good kind of rant about it where he was just like, I just did not need this movie. He's like, I saw this movie because I played it when I played the video game. The video game is like so cinematic and immersive. Like it just does not need to be made.
No.
And I thought that was a good way to put it because I agree. Really, I didn't really need this movie. And if it was going to be made, it needed to be made like 10 years ago with Nathan Fillion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
But I mean, kind of the only credit I can really give it is that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg were pretty solid together. They had some pretty decent chemistry, but every other character, I was just like, why are you in this movie?
Yeah.
And like everything else, I was like, I don't care. This is so generic.
Yeah.
And just not interesting. I mean, the whole, I give it credit as well for the whole plane stunt.
Yeah. Which was pretty. Yeah. Which is lifted from the video games.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But to pull it off in the movie was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was cool. But yeah, it was like beyond the ridiculousness of National Treasure.
Yeah.
Like they fucking they hooked up these 500-year-old boats to fucking helicopters and flew them around for like a fucking hour.
Yeah.
I was just like, I mean, man, I can suspend my disbelief, but dude,
yeah,
I don't know. I just
not as long as they can suspend those ships. Am I right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not. There's not even. It's not. You can point at anything and say, "Oh, this was really bad."
Yeah.
Because it's not really bad. It was just all so generic.
Yeah. The weird forced product placement of like Papa John's where there's a fight in a Papa John's like section that was really cringeworthy to me, but yeah.
Yeah. And the other, like I said, the other characters just did not go anywhere and felt so out of place. Nothing about it was inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just I gave it like 2 stars, which maybe that's a little generous even. So I hope we don't. Let's just let it. Let's let it go. Let's let it die. I don't want somebody to try to remake it or a sequel. Let's just. We got 3 good video games.
Yeah, 4 actually.
Was there 4? I think I only played the first 2. Maybe I can't remember. But
yeah, I actually wrote a review of it. I'll put a link in the show notes and everything. But like like you said, it is very generic. It is bland. There is a ridiculous scene where it was clearly like, okay, they went for a character turn And, like, the way it's edited is like, oh, we need this to be PG-13. So, like, there's a scene of violence where there is, like, no blood whatsoever. And it is so off-putting and weird. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was bummed because Ruben Fleischer directed it. And I have kind of a soft spot for him. I've been very curious to see if he could, really take off as a top director. He did Zombieland, which I loved. And I thought that was a pretty visionary movie. And I've been interested to see what he would do. And unfortunately, his path led him to this. And again, this was just so uninspired. It did not, it got to the end and it said directed by Ruben Fleischer. I was like, oh shit, really? That sucks, because this did not feel at all like his style.
Yeah. And he's someone that just kind of seems like a maybe not by the numbers director, but like he's, aside from Zombieland, he's never really wowed me with anything. Yeah. Like Venom was fun because it had no reason for being really, and it was just kind of fun. But like, right. I didn't like point at it and say like, oh, that's a Ruben Fleischer movie. I was like, that's a silly Venom movie that I'm not going to think about for 10 minutes after I leave the theater. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how unique his signature is as a director. The only one that really feels personal is Zombieland. Everything else feels pretty generic.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's kind of a shame, but honestly, I don't know what we could expect from an Uncharted movie.
Yeah, honestly, that was kind of my whole thing coming out, like going into the theater when I saw it, was that I already know, and this is an unfair place to go into it, I already know that like the storytelling in the video games, the storytelling, the cinematic nature of it, there's no way it'll be topped like in another medium. So I'll have as much fun with it as I can, and I did, and it hit Netflix recently, and I have had no desire to rewatch it. So yeah, I'll
never see it again.
Yeah. Do you want me to go on to my next one?
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to talk about the new film that just hit Shudder with some Indiana ties, actually. Glorious. Have you heard about this movie, Tiny?
No, I've seen maybe an ad for it, but I haven't watched a trailer or anything.
Okay. So it's I'm not going to like read the plot summary or anything. Basically, it is Ryan Quanten from True Blood. He plays a man who has recently gone through a breakup. He stops at a rest area bathroom and kind of gets drunk. And then the next morning he's hungover in the bathroom. Like he gets drunk at the rest area, goes into the bathroom to be hungover, and notices a glory hole in the stall wall. There we go. And the disembodied voice of J.K. Simmons speaks to him through the glory hole and reveals himself to be a Lovecraftian-style monster from another like universe, from outside the universe. And he has a proposition for Ryan Quanten that I won't say what it is. It's not what you think it would be. But the proposition he has, the like fate of the universe hangs in the balance. And this movie is so much fun.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun. And this guy Joshua Hull, who lives in Indy, actually co-wrote the script. And so there's a nice like Indiana tie. Like there was actually a screening at the Indiana State Museum where a friend of the show and my colleague from the IFJ, Sam Watermeyer, he actually moderated the Q&A afterwards with Josh.
Sweet.
there. Yeah, it was a bummer that I couldn't make it or anything, so I didn't get to go. But I got to see the movie like on a screener, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Very original, very Lovecraftian in a very gross and very colorful way. And there's like elements of Saw to it as well, because this guy becomes confined in this bathroom, and what really stands out to me is the dialogue between him and the monster and J.K. Simmons. And it's just like this very interesting, like, not battle of wills really, but it is this interesting just like back and forth between them that just never lets up. The energy never kind of dissipates. It's all just very energetic and very, very cool for a self-contained kind of movie. So yeah.
That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Is that going to be out in theaters, or is it going to be like on the Shudder service only?
It is available to stream on Shudder right now, so it's not going to have a theatrical run here as far as I know, but it is on Shudder. Okay,
sweet.
Yeah.
I'm totally intrigued. That sounds good.
Nice. Yeah, I wrote a review of it on obsessiveviewer.com, so check that out. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. And do you want to do one more round?
Yes.
Okay. What do you have for your last bit of potpourri for this episode, Tony?
So yesterday I watched the season finale of Severance.
Nice.
And holy shit, man.
Yep.
I have not seen another show like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was you who said that it's like an episode of Black Mirror that got an entire season.
Yep.
Which is a beautiful fucking sentence.
Oh, thank you.
It's just well said on your part, but also like it's amazing. Like imagine if, another Black Mirror episode got a whole season. Like,
yo, absolutely.
Just that concept, deep diving into one of those episodes would be amazing. Yeah, I was so blown away by the show. I mean, I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know. I was just so pleasantly surprised all along the way, and a little disturbed at some of it. And the acting is just tops. Like, it doesn't get any better. Like, I was blown away by every performance in the show. I'm kind of up and down on Patricia Arquette.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes, like she was in the. Didn't she win an Oscar for Boyhood?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. And like I like her as an actor, and but I didn't necessarily agree with that win, like her winning an Oscar for that.
Right.
I wasn't super thrilled with her performance, but Severance is one of those times where she's on point.
Nice.
I thought she did such a good job. Her ability to kind of, her character doesn't transition between, thoughts and ideas and themes. She just jumps straight into something. Like she will be having a normal conversation and then just bite somebody's head off.
Yes.
And her ability to pull it off in such a straight way, like her character is like so hyper focused. It's like brutal to watch her act. I was amazed at Patricia Arquette, but she's one of many. I mean, so many of these performances are just incredible. I was so blown away by the show, and the concept is just absolutely brilliant. I haven't really had time to dive into it at all. Is this based on anything?
I don't believe it is. I think it's just an original concept. I know Ben Stiller is a producer on it and directed a fair number of the episodes. I don't know where the concept originated from, but it is, I agree wholeheartedly. It is an incredible concept, and it is explored so interestingly. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's it's funny because there's a surprising amount of like comedy in it, situational, and like some of the lines, like one of the characters, Dylan, is very kind of like Gen Z-ish kind of attitude, like curses a lot and has all these goofy theories about stuff, and I don't really know how to quantify his character, but yeah, he's a comic relief a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And Adam Scott as Mark S. Some of his lines when he's in Audi, he's bounces off kind of some smart ass snarky remarks that are kind of funny with his sister and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm still like 24 hours later kind of trying to wrap my head around it and understand, like, not understand it, because it's not really confusing.
No,
like,
they
at
do
all.
a really good job of
right.
explaining things. Yeah,
it's mysterious, but it's not confusing.
Yeah.
But I just trying to wrap my head around it and you know, put yourself in the shoes of the characters is disturbing and exciting. And I mean, there's some tension that is just absolutely thick and dense, and just like, I was like, Paige was working from home and she had like a late meeting when I was watching it, and she was like, she like heard me like reacting to it. I was like audibly reacting to it, like going like nice. Sucking in my breath and like ooh,
the finale specifically.
Nice. Yeah, I was just like, oh fuck. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a great show, and I can't even, like, you know, without going into spoilers, you can't. It's hard to even talk about.
It really is. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things you got to watch. Yeah, it's so good. I don't even know what else to say about it, honestly.
Yeah, it was funny because you had texted me while like, I presume that it was immediately after you finished the finale, and you said, please, for the love of God, I don't know exactly what you said, but please, for the love of God, tell me that this was renewed for a second season. And yeah, it was renewed in April, and it was nominated for 14 Emmys.
Wow.
Which I think might actually be a record for a freshman series. Yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah. And quick plug for Patreon, I did episode reviews for each episode of Severance, and I did something special for the finale. I recorded myself watching I audio recorded myself watching the finale, and basically spliced together some of my choice reactions to moments in the finale. That was a lot of fun. It was a little daunting to get it all set up, but it was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then I did my normal review of it, but
yeah,
that's at the $2 level if you go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. But yeah, I absolutely adore that show.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it.
No. And like, the further it got, like, there were moments throughout the season where I was just like, oh my God, I knew what the concept was. And then as the episodes unfolded, it does this very organic way of just introducing these other elements to it and really diving into what exactly the concept means for the characters and for the world as a whole in this universe. And I was just floored by that. The world building is absolutely astounding. Like, the implications of what Severance is it's so cool. It's just so cool, and it's explored so well. I love it. Yeah. Yeah,
I totally agree.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to say. Oh, it's one of the, like, if I was teaching a class, which, why the fuck would I ever teach a class? But if I was teaching a class and the theme of the day was how to create a movie or a show where you show your audience what's going on as opposed to explaining it in dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Show, don't tell. That's what you're supposed to do in the visual medium of films and television.
Yeah.
And that's hard. That's hard to do because
absolutely.
Yeah, and I fully agree. And sometimes you just got to have an exposition dump,
Yeah.
unless you're fucking Severance.
Right.
It is amazing what they were able to show instead of explaining in an exposition dump.
Yeah.
Like I adore Christopher Nolan still, and he's known for his exposition dumps.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it, but like, man, if he could do something. Like, I want him to watch the show and take notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just amazed at what they were. It's not really a dialogue heavy show.
No.
And a lot of the dialogue is characters bouncing off one another.
Yeah.
And reacting to what's going on as opposed to really discussing things. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where there's like a character talking to Mark Scout, played by Adam Scott, and they're like, so what is it like to be severed, and like, tell me what severance is and stuff like that, and he kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
Like it's like it goes into him developing as a character as opposed to him telling us what severance is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like that's not a very good example on my part. It's something you got to experience.
Yeah.
You just got to watch the show.
Oh yeah. It is. Oh, it's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
If HBO had gotten this show, holy fuck! Like everybody would be like, what's Game of Thrones? Oh, that show. That's right. Yeah,
right.
From a while ago. You know, like this would be. It's almost a shame that it's on Apple TV because which I'm not shitting on Apple TV. It's been a fine service since I've joined it. But you know, it's still kind of not. I don't know how popular.
Yeah.
I don't know how many subscriptions it has compared to something like HBO Max.
Right. It's still fairly new, and like, yeah, it kind of feels like it's slightly limiting its audience by being on that. But I mean, I think the acclaim that Severance has gotten is definitely enough to catapult it, because
I really hope so.
Yeah. Just. And that finale, God, yeah, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So brilliant.
Yeah. I recommend, if you haven't already, and you don't have to, but you should definitely listen to my reviews.
Oh, I'm going to, yeah.
Nice. Cause I had a lot of fun with them. It was so much fun.
Nice.
And you, the listener, should listen to my reviews. Patreon.com/obsessiveviewer.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is all I have for this extended potpourri.
Nice. I will go ahead and round us out with a relatively quick review of a Hulu original movie. This is the only one that I had notes for. It's Not Okay. Starring Zoe Deutsch, Mia Isaac from Don't Make Me Go, Tia Dion Hodge, and Dylan O'Brien. Directed and written by Quinn Shepard. The premise is an ambitious young woman finds followers and fame when she poses as the survivor of a deadly attack, but she soon learns that online notoriety comes with a terrible price. I think I reviewed this movie. If I did, did I actually complete the review? No, I didn't. Anyway, so yeah, I did not review the movie, but it's fine. It's interesting. It kind of feels like Easy A in a certain respect, but where I on Letterboxd I said that it feels like Easy A if Olive was obsessed with it's kind of like Easy A if Olive had an affinity for influencers instead of 80s movies, and it's Dear Evan Hansen if the grieving family he manipulated wasn't a school shooting survivor or was a school shooting survivor, and if the story had the self-awareness to realize how irredeemable its protagonist was. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying the movie was fine. What I found interesting is that the whole kind of premise is that Zoe Deutsch plays this woman who wants to be famous, or wants to be, like, she wants to be a writer and everything, and she is very, very much interested and obsessed with her, like, public persona and public image and impressing, like, influencers. And there was one really funny letterboxed, like there was a letterboxed main review, or like popular review of it, that was just for context, in the movie, Dylan O'Brien plays this very, like, kind of stonery, douchey, like, influencer guy who's constantly vaping and covered in tattoos and, like, has, like, bleached blonde hair. He's very much of a type. And for some reason, Zoe Deutsch's character is like obsessed with him. But one of the, like, top letterboxd reviews is really loved Dylan O'Brien's performance as Pete Davidson in this movie. And, like, I can't unsee it. It's
That's awesome.
Yeah, that letterboxd user is very much on point. Gal, their username on letterboxd is I don't know how. But anyway, Gal Balaban. But anyway, this movie is fine. It's interesting as a character study of a person who gets themselves into a very precarious situation publicly, where basically she wants to, like, she finds herself in a lie where she says that she is going to Paris. And so to facilitate this lie, she starts posting pictures on her social media, like doctored photos of her in Paris. And then she wakes up one morning to find out that there was a horrible terrorist attack in Paris. And then she uses that to her advantage by kind of pretending to be a survivor of it. And it goes into some pretty dark places when she goes into, like, a survivor support group and befriends, like, this very, very popular, like, activist. And something that I found really interesting about the movie is the way that it showcases how self-centered Zoe Deutsch's character is, because she will have, it's like she's not even really trying or conscious of how she should act in this kind of lie that she's created for herself. But the movie also demonstrates how she acts completely different from everyone else that has actually been through a traumatic event like that. And, like, that's interesting and everything, and it carries the movie pretty well, but by the, like, third act, I'm kind of, like, not really that into it. Like, it's kind of, it wears out its welcome a little bit. I do like that the movie doesn't really give her any leeway. Like, it doesn't paint her in a way that makes her sympathetic, which is good, but also it just kind of, it didn't really leave that strong of an impression. So anyway, it's on Hulu. It's called Not Okay. Have you heard about this? Are you interested in it?
I haven't heard about it.
Nice.
It's kind of a shame that it was just okay. I love Zoe Deutsch.
Oh, me too.
She's awesome. And I kind of love, just based on what you described, I love her being cast in that role.
Yeah.
I was like, great casting for that role. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't familiar with it, but my interest is a little piqued.
Nice. Well, if you check it out, let me know what you think.
Cool. It makes me think of that documentary that came out.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. There's that
the woman who wasn't there.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
She pretended to be a 9/11 survivor.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
So
yeah, that was a really good documentary. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of The Obsessive Viewer. Anything coming up that you're excited about or anything?
Nothing that jumps out. Paige and I just started the new series on is it on Hulu? Amazon? I can't keep it straight anymore.
Yeah.
A League of Their Own. They're making a TV show.
Yeah, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime. Okay, I couldn't remember. So yeah, we started that. It's pretty interesting. The acting is really good so far.
Nice.
So, yeah, and it's not like a straight rip off of the movie, which is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I'll check back in the future and let you guys know what I thought of it.
Nice. On my end, I am going to be starting a new episode review series on Patreon for Dark, which is on Netflix. So look forward to that. Again, check out patreon.com/obsessiveviewer. Sign up for whichever tier you want to. And the $2 tier is where all the good stuff is. And then $5 tier is that plus some other cool bonus stuff. That'll do it for this episode. I'm going to go ahead and play us out. Once again, thank you guys so much for listening. And I hope you have a good one. Tiny, thank you for joining me on this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on my own podcast. Says Tiny. All right. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. And now, enjoy this short clip from our Patreon exclusive RSS feed. For the full clip and more exclusive Patreon content, such as early access to episodes, TV, book, and movie reviews and reaction recordings, commentary tracks, and Patreon potpourri episodes, go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer and become a patron at the minimum rate of $1 per month. Thank you and enjoy.
Yeah. I fully agree. I have committed since I was flirting with the idea after the 2020 election, and then since the overturning of Roe, I'm fully committing that through 2024, I am putting in straight Democrat tickets.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I've never done that. I haven't been voting for a long time, but I've never done that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I retweeted this. I'm going to actually play the audio of it because I heard this, I watched this video, and I was like, the Republican Party is literally evil. Like, it is just evil. So, and this might actually be kind of not, I don't want to use the word triggering, but this might be personally affected by you. But, someone tweeted, "I'm haunted by the South Carolina Republican Representative Neil Collins realizing that the anti-abortion bills he supported are now forcing women and girls to carry non-viable pregnancies at risk of sepsis, death, and loss of the uterus. All of these outcomes were inevitable and predicted." And here is his statement, Neil Collins' statement. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Okay, here we go.
This podcast was edited and produced by Matt Hurt and presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find links to all of our shows at ObsessiveViewer.com/podcasts. For exclusive bonus content, including reviews, commentaries, and B-roll episodes, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/ObsessiveViewer. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.